Hey, welcome to Nerd Bros.
How you guys doing?
This is Mick Johnson.
And I am Hunter Johnson.
And we have a topic for you.
Yes, we are back, and we have our full review of Wonder Woman, the brand new DC superhero movie from DC.
Just came out over the weekend, doing really well.
Yeah, box office is amazing for this movie. The Rotten Tomatoes has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's crazy. This movie, I mean, most superhero movies don't get that high. Even like Captain America Civil War, which we'll say is one of the best superhero movies out there, only got a 90%. So this movie's getting really good reviews.
And we saw this over the weekend.
Yes.
And we have lots of opinions over it, so this will be a spoiler episode. Watch out.
Spoiler filled.
Yes. Beware.
So Mick.
Where to begin?
Okay.
Where to begin?
We seem to be in another conundrum with the critics here.
We just had this conundrum with Pirates 5.
Yeah, if you watched our other review, half of the Pirates 5 review was us just ranting about how angry we were that Pirates hated the movie so much. That movie wasn't amazing, but it should have gotten better than it did. We
were angry last time. Now I would say we're more annoyed.
Yeah.
We're not quite as extremely angry with critics. Now we're going the other direction. We think this movie was rated too high.
Yeah, definitely.
93%?
93%. This movie,
come on.
This movie wasn't terrible.
No.
But there is nothing in this movie that makes me compare it to being the best superhero movie out there since The Dark Knight. What are you saying, critics?
People are saying that all over the place.
I've heard this multiple times. Like, this is one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Show me your Heath Ledger in this movie.
I don't get it.
Show me an actor that did that good.
There isn't. So, yeah, okay, when we break down this movie, you've got Gal Gadot and you got Chris Pine with Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. They're both solid. They're really good in this movie. And the action's also really good in this movie.
Really good.
There's a couple scenes in this movie that's just thrilling action. But outside of those two things, I don't know if there's anything to take away from this movie.
When she knees a guy through a brick wall, it took my breath away. And we saw a little bit of it in the trailer. But the way they set it up in this movie, it was whoa.
Yeah, there's a couple scenes. It was just amazing action. CGI-filled action, to be clear, but still good action.
Some of it was pretty good CGI. I'd say 50-50 on some of it.
Yes. So yeah, we are doing spoilers, as you said.
They know by now.
This is definitely spoilers. So
let's go through the movie a bit. Let's go through the movie.
Okay,
what do we think of the Amazon? What do we think of the bubble place?
Yeah, the first third of this movie is in the Amazon.
A little less than third, but it's a good bit.
Is with where the Amazons live, Themyscira. It's just Steve Trevor crash landing at Themyscira. Gal Gadot rescues him, and it just goes from there. He tells the Amazonians about the war, the World War I, and Wonder Woman feels compelled to go out there and fight the war and defeat the god that's compelling the Germans to be bad.
Yeah. Hunter, I feel like you skipped a bit, though, because all of Small Diana, and we were in a theater with a lot of women, and I don't know if
there was a lot of women in the theater.
And they were loving little Diana, and it wasn't really doing anything for us.
Oh,
but
right.
Child Diana, and, I mean, you can't forget Robin Wright. She's done tremendously well with House of Cards, and there's good chemistry.
She's
good
barely
action.
in the movie, though.
There's some good, lovey moments between the women, and women liked it. From what we saw around us, women liked this movie, like a lot of different parts of this movie.
I will say that this movie has done something that pretty much no other superhero movie has done, as far as I can think of. They've gotten a movie where seems like the women are liking this more than the men.
Appealing to the women audience was probably a great move. Now they've done it with Supergirl.
Yeah, the TV show Supergirl is definitely doing that also.
And I will say
Supergirl's better than Wonder Woman, though. Just saying.
I haven't seen Supergirl, so that's interesting to hear. But
the action is not. But yeah,
I don't think we're being sexist in saying these things, because you watch that strong. I mean, there's women everywhere in the beginning of this movie, and there's women jokes. I mean, you watch it for yourself and you'll realize, like, is this really a guy movie? That's what you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, this movie...
And have all superhero movies been just for men up until this point? That's the reverse you have to ask yourself.
I kind of feel like, for the most part, yes.
They kind of have.
Which, in the past... for the most part, though, that's what it's kind of supposed to have
Princesses
been.
are for girls, superheroes are for guys.
That's always been the culture and the way it's been. So
Yeah.
this movie is trying to change that. It's trying to show that superhero movies can be for anybody. It's led by a woman superhero, and she's very empowered. She's leading the whole battlefield of the British versus the Germans. Or Americans, or whoever's fighting. I never get no.
Whoever they're going after. It's nice to see that they don't make Chris Pine weak, though. He can still fight. He has some great moves, great action scenes as well. It's something that we were lacking, if I can just get off track a little bit, with Jurassic World. It was like we thought Chris Pratt was going to be this really good actor, and then he has a lot of weakness because of the actress that just kind of takes over.
Oh.
I don't know. That's off track, though. But anyway, Chris Pine, they gave him some good manly moments, what I was happy about. But Gal Gadot got a lot of her feminine strength, too. So we're kind of getting off track. So let's get back to the movie here. We get back to England, jolly old England. That's not for everybody. That joke was in the preview. People still laughed at it in the theater, which I was a little
There was a
surprised.
lot of jokes in this movie that people around me were laughing at. I just didn't understand.
Is it us?
I really think it's us. This movie...
It wasn't for us?
I really just feel like it wasn't for us. This is...
But dare I say, was it for a unintelligent movie-watching crowd? That sounds so
Look,
bad.
as I was watching the movie,
That
this
sounds terrible.
wasn't an afterthought, but there were things happening in this movie that felt like... Okay, do these makers think I'm an idiot? Like, I feel like...
That's my point.
They're making jokes, they're making plot lines that are so cliche and so, like, overused plot lines. Like, I feel like the makers think that I'm an idiot and have never seen a movie before.
That kind of brings us to the squad or the band of brothers that they make up, because these are idiot characters.
Yeah.
I mean, Ewan Bremner is the idiot of idiots, who is the sniper who doesn't ever snipe.
Right.
Actually, in
The
this
Irish
movie.
dude that
not once. He shoots, but they never have a snipe moment. They just look through his scope a half a dozen times.
He's going through like PTSD or something. I don't know.
Saad Takahamiya or something. Samir.
Great.
Who's a good character?
I don't know who you're talking about.
He's the interpreter, the liar.
Okay.
I guess is his
Right,
special
the
skill.
actor
Who acts once in the car for a mission.
Yes.
And then they have the Native American played by Eugene Brave Rock.
Yeah.
Is his name.
This is a very unique bunch they've gotten. They've gathered together.
And by unique, you mean terrible.
I didn't hate them. There wasn't really.
What was to like them?
It seemed like they were trying to show in this movie. One of the major things they were trying to give as a message in this movie that everybody is complicated. Not anybody is totally good or totally bad. Everybody has complicated issues.
I can get on board
and
with that.
That was the whole idea. But they did that in kind of an odd way. And we'll get into the major plot line of this movie and how it goes toward the ending. But for now, I just want to know one thing from you, Mick. What do you think of Chris Pine's German accent?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know that. And I think we've seen it somewhere before. I can't remember where.
Maybe
but we
in
know
Star Trek somewhere.
Maybe it was Saturday Night Live. I don't know. But he's an amazing... I mean, he can do an accent. He is a talented actor.
I don't know why everybody in the movie was speaking English, but...
On the Nazi side of
all
things,
of the Germans in this
German side
movie
of
speak
things.
English.
That is very true. When they're planning with Dr. Poison and what's his name,
Everybody's always speaking English in this
Ludendorff.
movie. Like they got
make
Danny
any sense.
Huston, who's the main
Get some
druggy.
subtitles.
They got him to do the accent, but I guess he didn't want to learn German too. Yeah.
We're getting too down on this movie. What are the bright points? We get action in this movie. When Wonder Woman takes the lead over No Man's Land, best part of the movie for me. I don't know about for you. Do you know which part I'm talking about?
Yeah,
In the
no. So you're
bunker?
talking the whole scene after that, like that from the beginning of where she takes over in No Man's Land and then everything
She's
after
taking
that?
all the gunfire and they take over. They take the city back. That's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
She's knocking grenades away. She's just taking hits and just keeps on going.
So your favorite part of this movie is the action, right?
Yes.
My favorite part of the movie is Chris Pine. I thought the action was good, but at the same time, it was very CGI filled, and it was hard to suspend my disbelief into believing all this action.
All right. Well, most people are going to say action for this movie,
Yeah.
I think. So let's dive into the fact of why why is Chris Pine the best part of the movie? Because for me, he's not, and I think that's because Hunter, you've told me that you kind of discovered that Chris Pine really is an amazing actor through this movie. I think I already have seen that a little bit in some of his movies, but maybe you can speak into that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot from him in past movies. I've seen some. I've known his potential, but in this movie he shined in, like, he was having to deal with the very naive Wonder Woman in this film, who she was so naive in similar fashion to the Christopher Reeve Superman in the 1978 Superman movie. Was just very naive in the world, thinking everything is black and white when it ends up not being. And Chris Pine is there, and he has to be the one to actually explain these things to her, and he doesn't know how. And my favorite part of the movie is the end scene, not the very end, but like when he's finally explaining to her why the world isn't so black and white, and his explanation, the genuineness on his face, it's just amazing to me.
And then they ruin it with the villain.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up. Wait, any more bright spots? So we don't. Before...
We got action. We have a great acting by Gal. She does really great.
Yeah, she's very good.
We have a good comedian woman when they're trying on outfits, and she's carrying
fun.
a sword around.
And you got
bright parts.
You got David Thewlis, who's playing the general who's helping them, who turns out to be the bad guy.
Yes. So
I will say, before he turned out to be the bad guy, I loved his character. I really enjoyed David Thewlis in this film when he was just helping them out on the sidelines, calling them and stuff, and he was there.
While he was Sir Patrick and not while he was Ares.
And then he turned into Ares. The moment they reveal that Ares is actually an opponent in this movie, he's actually, like, Diana has been right the whole time and Ares is actually the one behind everything. The moment you realize that, the entire movie just goes downhill and becomes garbage.
For you. I was already at that point for some of this movie. No, I don't think this movie is garbage, but I think it is mediocre.
I think the last 15 minutes is garbage.
You knew they were going to do something, though, when they killed off Ludendorff too early. And I guess that's all they had. And that's what keeps this movie at a mediocre rating for me.
It wasn't... okay, so as soon as they killed off Danny Huston's character very easily and he just kind of dies, I realized, okay, Ares is going to be in this movie. I'm okay with that. It's the way they did it.
Ares with a mustache.
Ares as an old, 60-year-old British guy who you never believe is doing anything he's doing. David Thewlis was not cast well in this film.
And he's a great actor who's doing awesome things. I've been watching him in Fargo
season 3. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Lately, and he's terrific. But why is he a supervillain? And why does he have a mustache? I don't know. That's what bothered me a lot.
I wish he at least took the mustache off when he became a bad guy.
It's not detachable on and off. But when he lands on, whatever. I'm over it. I'm apathetic towards this movie. I'm not going to destroy it because it has the action and DC is really trying. But what do we think about Zack Snyder at this point?
Zack Snyder? He didn't do this movie.
I mean, he's a big part of this movie. I think he's responsible for a lot.
I don't know if he did anything in this movie.
Are you sure?
Zack Snyder. Well, this movie was directed by Patty Jenkins, who did Monster back in 2003 with Charlize Theron. She hasn't directed a movie in 14 years. But they gave a woman director a huge budget of this film, and, I mean, she did what she could with a movie that was clearly, just like all the other movies, controlled by DC executives. I mean, it was a by-the-numbers origin story with tacked-on ending and a tacked-on beginning with the future and her emailing Bruce Wayne.
Right. This is Zack Snyder's story.
He did do the
story? He's responsible. He's story by. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I'm kind of putting some of the, not blame, not credit, but he's responsible for this movie. He did the story.
He's responsible for the concept ideas of this movie. So I'm not going to put the blame on him, but he was a part of it. And I never trusted Zack Snyder with this franchise. Just putting that out there. I didn't like Batman v Superman, and Man of Steel was good, but he should have stopped after one movie. I wanted him to just stop after Man of Steel and give the reins over to someone else after that.
And now he's given the reins of another movie to. Am I thinking of the
Yes,
right?
no, yes. Zack Snyder
ahead.
is no longer directing Justice League, which comes out this year. Joss Whedon has taken over the directing duties of Justice League, which has already been filmed. They're doing a couple more reshoots.
But maybe we'll actually get some good editing from Justice League.
And it's not it's after it's unfortunate the way things happen. Zack Snyder's
Right.
had a
You can look
family
into it.
incident, and you can look into that. And it's unfortunate how it happened, but in the end,
We get
Joss Whedon is now directing. He's doing all the post-production and all the reshoots of the new Justice League, which gives me more hope than I had before.
It gives us hope, but it also gives us a bit of traitor from the Marvel side crossing over to DC. If you're Joss Whedon, though, you can do whatever you want at this time.
Yes.
At this point in his career, he's been that successful.
He
so-
took his 1.5 year break he needed after Marvel broke him with Avengers Age of Ultron. So now he's doing Justice League, and he's directing Batgirl, which is a great fit for him. But yeah, this is the DC universe at this point. You got Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and now Wonder Woman.
And then also this year, Justice League, which I'm
Yes.
sure we could do a preview of that or mention that more in the future. Anything else we want to talk about of this movie? We've talked about the good. We've talked about the bad. What about Hunter expectations and also what you wanted to see, what you wish was in the movie after watching it? What they could have done?
What they could have done was a better story.
Okay.
And I want... Why did this need to be in World War One, really? Like, why did they need to do a repeat of Captain America the First Avenger, but with a girl? It felt like that movie, but with a couple different twists, that she's basically just a god who has no weaknesses.
But she's discovering her powers, which I liked a lot.
It was fun seeing her discover her powers. Like, we were seeing the extent of her powers at the same time she was. But overall, I just needed a better story, more interesting story that I cared about, because I just didn't care about the story in this.
Right. I'm pretty much with you in that. I've said earlier in this podcast that I'm apathetic towards this movie. I went in hoping that they'd give me something that I could enjoy. I wanted to see a Wonder Woman movie that I could just really get on board with. I wanted to be able to buy a Wonder Woman t-shirt if it came to that being as great as the critics were saying, you know? I wanted this to be a Dark Knight movie, which people were comparing it to. It did not.
I'm seeing a similar thing, and when I went into Doctor Strange last year, I had no expectations. I didn't care about the movie at all. The trailers didn't get me hyped up, but then the reviews came out. Everybody said this movie's amazing. It has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, so my expectations raised a whole lot, and I got really excited for the movie, and I went in, and I was disappointed. The movie wasn't terrible, but I was disappointed because of all the expectations. That's the same thing that happened to this movie for me.
The bigger picture takeaway from this movie, along with Pirates 5, which we just covered, is that we can no longer trust critic ratings.
We can no longer trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Something's going wrong. Something in the collaboration of critics. I don't know if there's ulterior motives going on for their ratings. I don't know if because when you give a movie a fresh rating or a not fresh, you only have two choices.
Yeah.
So if all the critics are just above fresh for this, all of a sudden this becomes a really fresh 90% movie. And usually it doesn't happen that way, but I wonder if that's part of the problem. I don't know if
That's
you see
where, like,
something
I
else.
look at Pirates 5, and I look at this movie, and I'd say they're on about the same level for me. Like, they're both, like, Pirates 5 isn't the best movie ever made, but because of all the terrible reviews, we raved about it in our review, because we felt like we needed to get people to go see it. In this movie, we're like, okay, hold back.
Back off a little
This
bit.
is not the best movie ever made. Stop raving about it.
Don't tell me that it is, because I will slap you in the face with Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Or
no.
Winter Soldier, or something that's just way better. I mean, and we're not saying this as Marvel fans. I'm probably Marvel. I think Hunter's a little bit more Marvel. When Wyatt's here, he's DC. But we know stories from Batman's side. We know Marvel side. So let's get right to the ratings. We're comparing this a little bit to other movies, but Hunter, what's your overall rating for this movie?
My rating for Wonder Woman,
2017.
it's gonna be pretty low. I'm gonna go with a 6.9 on this one.
You think that's low? Wait for mine.
6.9. It's not as good as Pirates 5. When I think about it, because that was our last week's review, that's why I keep bringing it up. It's fresh on my mind. But 6.9 for Wonder Woman. It was just fine. Like, it wasn't terrible, but yeah.
As an action flick movie, this movie is an 8.5. Now, consider all the other things that happen in this movie. Consider the drawn out boat scene, or the jokes that just don't land, the actors that I don't care about besides Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. That's why this movie comes down to a 5.5 for me.
Eesh,
5.5.
That's crazy.
This is where I've been brought to.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
You can't disagree with me, can you?
I think what raised
having
it for me
trouble.
more than you is Chris Pine. I just loved his acting a lot, so it brought me up into the 6s for me. But yeah,
Yeah, the main woman and the leading male and female really carried this movie for me, and the action. Everything else, don't care about personally. I don't know. 5.5 is a little low. If I'm in a better mood, I'd probably go above a 6 a little bit.
but anyway, where do you rank this with the rest of the DCEU, with the movies in this universe as of now?
And my options are what?
Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and now this.
Suicide Squad's at the bottom.
Yep.
Which I am very sad to say. Man of Steel's at the top, and Batman vs Superman is second, and Wonder Woman is third.
Ooh, you like
ranked.
Batman v Superman better than this movie?
I do.
Huh.
I do. There's redeeming moments in that movie that really
it's all
make
about
it great.
expectations, because when I remember it, when I watched Batman v Superman the first time, I had such low expectations because of critic reviews that I came out saying this is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And then I watched it a second time and I fell asleep. It was so boring. When I rank it, I'm gonna put the same thing: Man of Steel at the top, Suicide Squad at the bottom, and I'm gonna put Wonder Woman just over the edge over Batman v Superman.
And I think that's a fair rating. It really depends on what this superhero means to you. Wonder Woman really means nothing to me. I wish that she did, and I wish a movie could show me that she's worth. Now I'm going to look forward to her in Justice League, because she does have good powers, and they can use her in entertaining ways.
Yeah. And now we know that Gal Gadot can really handle this role.
She
Because
can.
Batman v Superman did not tell us anything
She's
about whether or not
mysterious. That's all we know.
It didn't show us whether or not she could handle this like immense role of the greatest female superhero out there.
But and going forward, we'll get her. We don't get Chris Pine. I'm sorry, Hunter, but he had to dramatically kill himself for no reason. Because I guess parachutes weren't invented.
It doesn't make any... It's whatever.
I'm sorry. I keep pointing out things. You know why my rating is where it's at.
No, I get it.
So, but I understand yours too. So we don't have to worry about Chris Pine.
Anyway, anything else you wanted to talk about before we close out here?
I'm good. I feel good about this.
Yeah.
Tell him. Go ahead, tell him.
This has been our review for Wonder Woman. If you want more reviews, more previews, more discussions, follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, iTunes, and yes.
We're all over the place. Can't miss us. All right. Thanks, Hunt.
Yeah. Thanks, Mick.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Wyatt. He's not dead.
Thank you, guys. Stay nerdy and have a good one.